Nicola and I work for Scrap to publicise throughout the city the work of all the different community recycling groups. The public really need to know all the items that they can recycle and where they can send them. Some of the groups don't know much about each other's activities, so as part of our role in bringing the groups together, we organised this boat trip along the Sheffield Canal. We think recycling is about people doing what they can in their own area and caring about where they live and showing that by their efforts just in their own way, and that's really important.
For the past 12 years we've been involved in conservation in various ways in Christchurch. Part of our belief as Christians that this is God's world and we need to look after the things which are here. The paper, we use the money we have from that to go to our magazine. We produce a bi-monthly community magazine, and so that helps a little bit of subsidy towards that. The cans, aluminium cans, goes towards the minibus. We run a community minibus with 26 groups using it, and we encourage the children at school, for instance, to collect cans for their bus. So we try and sort of feed back, as it were, any monies we have in a positive way that the community can understand. The luncheon club we have twice a week, and encourage the old folk to bring in their paper and their bottles, and it's a part of this sort of event. You know, they come in for their coffee and their dinner, and they bring in the things as well. And there's quite a collection of paper and bottles, especially on the Firs Hill estate where we collect people in our minibus. The things that we do, they don't amount to a great deal in the sense of tonnage and that kind of thing, but what it's teaching people is very important. And so it's just our little local community. And I think really you've got to start locally. It's got to be meaningful here if people are going to see things as important in a larger issue. We are living in a pretty difficult inner city area with very high vandalism and burglaries and all the rest of it, because of the huge changeover of population and a tendency to put families with problems into the area. So we've now got a population by and large who are not caring very much, and that has made our work much more difficult. And we live in an area which is very monochrome. It's very, very uninteresting in the sense that the buildings are very alike and the flats are very alike. They don't last. The flats that were built in 1963 have all been demolished, and all the others are having to be refurbished at a huge cost, which of course means that we've got to start from ground stage again. We've got to do it all over again and teach people again.
I am aware that at the moment the streets, the immediate area is very, very dirty. It's absolutely, there's litter everywhere. We have in the past gone out and picked up litter, taken bags out and brought quite a lot back into school, but I haven't done it recently. Because there is, a very real danger for the children of needles around. I've had phone calls from people that lived at the top of the flats, even before the garden was as nice as it is, to say it is like looking down into an oasis. It's so beautiful. So we've added to that a great deal. For instance, in the corner, there are 30 trees now, more than 30 trees that have been added to that area. And into that garden recently, we've got some quite rare butterflies, I believe. I'm not sure what it was, but somebody from the Wildlife Project came to do some photographs because they were responsible for planting, and they told Muriel that there was a very rare butterfly in there. We rather hope that we might introduce a couple of hedgehogs if we ever got the opportunity, because there is a corn especially to encourage small creatures.
It feels horrible. And then it's going to feel horrible.
It's not.
It will. It's slimy.
It won't. Tammy, do you want to hold it? Look, that one's come on.
There are some up there that children have made using shells and things there. Can you see those? Those there. That's it.
It's on the back.
That's using sticky paper, isn't it? And that one's sticky paper as well. What do you like best up there? Which one? Yes, guess what?
And they
That-
have enough.
That cloth there was Mr. Kidd's old pyjamas. When he finished with them, we cut them up. We didn't throw them away. Somebody made a teddy bear, didn't they, from it? So all these things are made from old scraps of things.
That's from moose.
It is, that's a moose box, isn't it? Somebody's daddy made that. Samantha's daddy helped. When Samantha bought that kit, that was called Decorator Box Kit. And Samantha's dad helped her to do that. And it's a box for putting little bits and pieces in. Right, all those things all made from... Did we buy any of those things? Did we buy them?
No.
They're all what? What kind of things?
From parties.
Well, that's... Where would we have usually put that? After the party? Well, I did bring it into my shop, didn't I? But where would we usually put it when it was used? When you've used something, where do you usually put it?
Bin.
In the bin. But a lot of these things we didn't put in the bin, we used them again, didn't we?
And that plate.
And the plate, yes, that's a paper plate there. What's that? Not very long ago at this school, we won a sort of a local, it was a local competition, wasn't it, for waste paper. We collected 21 tonnes in 7 months. We had a tremendous amount of wonderful support from the community of Pitsmoor. Because people, well, I think all people want to feel that they are contributing to conservation. But we never miss an opportunity. There's a board just outside of my room there, and it's got 4 bags on it. One of them is to put the used stamps in, one was for old coins, and the other 2 were for, over the years have been for various things, collecting buttons and that kind of thing. They're quite aware of it. You heard one little girl say, well, you talk about it in assembly. And yes, I do, and I use the opportunities to... you might not do an actual lesson about it. It might be a quarter of an hour thing, or it might just be to mention these things, but they are mentioned, and they are mentioned quite frequently.
Now, for the benefit of the new pupils, the ones who've just been here for a week or two, I'd like to explain what it is that we've been doing in recent times towards recycling. It's a simple thing. All you have to do is to collect a few of these things, aluminium cans, which are all over the place, in school, out of school. Any cans that you can find in the streets, in your home, around the school, you just have to bring them in. They don't weigh much because they're aluminium. And for every 10 of these that you bring, you'll get a raffle ticket off either me or Mr. Tigwell. And at the end of the week, in an assembly on a Friday like today, there'll be a draw for the winner of the raffle. And Mr. Tigwell's come up with 1 or 2 quite nice prizes, and we hope to get some more in the future. So it's a simple thing. You can help yourself by having a chance of winning in the competition. Help the school because it raises something like a penny for every can that you bring in. And you can help the environment by saving resources and saving energy. So we're doing ourselves a favour, and we're doing the environment a favour as well.
I won a Donald Duck kite and a £5 record token.
How many cans did you collect?
In a minute. I've collected quite a lot over the holidays because I went to a Sheffield festival and got loads of cans. And I've done things like that, just collecting. Make it support and then I can get 4 raffles.
Sheffield children
Children's Scrap Store was set up approximately 11 and a half years ago. And we serve all voluntary groups working with under 14s within Sheffield. I mean, the list is endless. We've got all the uniform groups, and there are all the under 5 groups. We've got junior clubs, and starting up now because of this latest Children's Act, there's going to be quite a number of after-school clubs, and we're expecting them to use it as well. And of course there's the usual summer play schemes. And what we actually do is collect waste materials from industry, commerce and retailers that can be used in some form of children's arts, craft and play activities. The amazing thing is what waste is thrown away, and equally the amounts that are thrown away. As you can see here, we've got carpet samples, and these can be used by a number of different groups. Playgroups buy them for little mats for the children to sit on, so they're not sat on a cold floor. Another amazing fact is the amount of ceramic tiles that are thrown away. This is an old contact, we've had it for some considerable years, stoked on Moore Street. And if they've got, I believe, less than 50 square feet of tiles, then they throw them away, which is a crying shame, but they can become a teapot stand for Granny, and the children love to make things for grannies and so forth. We just acquired this paper. It actually came from the Royal Hampshire Hospital, and they have in fact bought a new ECG machine, and this paper doesn't fit the new machine. And rather than throw it away, they rang us and asked if we wanted it, telling us that there were actually 60 reams, 60 boxes with a ream in each. In actual fact, there were 65 boxes with 1,000 sheets in each, which is 2 reams. And yeah, it is selling like hotcakes. Another way in which we try to help the groups who use the Children's Scrap Store is we have several fundraising games in which they can hire. They take them along to their summer fetes and bazaars, usually having a good time in the process, and make money for their own little group. There we are, madam. Glad you had a good... Did you make a profit?
I think so, yes.
Good,
Yeah,
good. That's what we like to hear.
Yeah.
Well, everybody's asking for Christmas stock now, so first thing on Monday morning we will be getting tinsel and ribbons and Christmas decorations out and putting those on sale. And sometime later in September we will be taking a van up to Sunderland, because that's where the firm is that makes all the Christmas goodies, and we take their wages off them, you see, and we take what they throw away.
So what sort of things will you get from them?
Oh, tinsel and paper chains and gift tags and all sorts of Christmas goodies.
Societies were created in the 20s and 30s, and we're independent. It's quite possible for that still to happen. Like you pay your rent to the allotment society, and the allotment society then uses that money to maintain the allotment.
When I got my allotment 4 years ago, it was completely turfed over, just grass. And to get down to the soil, you have to cut off the grass, get rid of all the perennial weeds. You can stack them into a loam heap, and if you leave them for long enough, they'll turn into lovely topsoil, loam. Now, once you've begun cultivating, it's most important to get the organic matter into the soil, which improves the soil and helps the plants to grow. You can collect virtually anything that was once alive and make it into a compost. Weeds, vegetable waste, your own kitchen scraps. If you put them in a heap or in a worm bin, you can create stable, fertile humus like this, which feeds the soil and helps the plants to grow. You can also collect fallen tree leaves in the autumn and stack them for at least a year to make leaf mould, an excellent substitute for peat. I've been doing this for 4 years now, and I found that the results are excellent. You get less weeds, they're easier to pull out, and the crops grow better, whether it's flowers, herbs or vegetables. In Sheffield there's going to be wheelie bins soon, which means that everyone is going to be throwing out their domestic rubbish bins. You can convert a domestic rubbish bin into a worm bin by punching holes in the sides and in the bottom. If you put a bit of straw or some weeds in the bottom, then you can add in your kitchen waste every week. And if you can get hold of some worms and put them in, the worms will eat up the kitchen waste and produce a good compost. That's a good way of composting on a small domestic scale. On my way up to the allotment, lots of skips have extra things that people have thrown away that I know I can use because I've got an allotment. I found there was a lot of glass, as well as wood, as well as bricks that you can recycle by actually making buildings, such as this and this one. They take a bit of time to put together, and they're not as good as the ones you might buy in the shops, but they're fine for me. Something like this timber here, it's rotten, it's useless for buildings, but you can make raised beds, put the edges, use the wood for the edges, raise up the beds, and you get a nice pathway, so you walk down the pathway, you don't tread on the soil, you don't compact the soil, so you get a nice healthy topsoil that's not compacted. This allotment came with the greenhouse, which was falling down to begin with, so I've just patched this up with plastic, taped it up. When I started, I'd have never expected that I could grow sweet corn in Sheffield, but I found that I can. There are more than 3,000 allotments in Sheffield, many of which aren't being used at present. They cost about £20 a year to rent, half price if you're claiming benefits. Legally, anyone who asks for an allotment must be given one. If you, as an individual or as part of a group, are interested in taking on an allotment, telephone the Council's Recreation Department on Sheffield 500 500.
It's really taken off on Sheffield allotments, I'm sure, as the organic movement altogether. People are finding now that organically grown stuff tastes a lot better as well than those where a lot of fertilisers have been used. I mean, an old gardener that used to be with Sheffield allotments always used to say to me, he used to show me one spoon that had been used for chemical fertilisers and it was green and practically corroded through. The other one he used to show me, he said, well, that's only been used for for organic fertilisers, and look at it, it's still as good as the day it was used for stirring tea. Started off in gardening when I first left school as more or less a garden boy, which took in everything from cleaning plant pots to carrying compost and things about for the main gardeners who were doing the propagating and things like this. To save coming up with each individual little bit of compost, I put it in a bag, then when the bag's full I bring it up and put it straight onto the compost heap, see. I put the newer stuff to the front and dig out from the back, and then it goes to the bottom and gradually it makes really good compost. You see, things like this, I break them down into smaller pieces because they're a lot much easier then. But everything goes on banana skins as well, as you see there. They go on. Newspapers, tea bags, eggshells. I use more or less anything that I can to recycle, you know, to use as well, use again virtually. I mean, it served its purpose for what it was originally intended, and so I find some other use for it after that. Empty lemonade bottles, I cut them in half and use them as the tops for propagating in pots of the seeds. I also use washing up liquid bottles, cut them in half, put my string in and feed it through the neck. Push the two halves together and it comes out as I want it then, you see. It saves carrying it in your pocket and all getting tangled up.
Wait until we've got quite a large quantity, and then we'll make sure we get a good mix in the bin and incorporate quite a lot of manure in with it as well. If it's very dry, we add water, and that's manure is the only activator we use. We leave it for 2 weeks, by which time quite a good temperature's worked up. We test it to see if it's still hot. If the temperature begins to drop, we then turn it, which is usually after about 2 weeks. Turn it again after another 2 weeks, and in the summer, in about 6 weeks, it's quite good compost which we can use for mulching. We're also working on producing a high quality compost for potting. We collect brewers' grains and hops from a brewery.
Waste vegetables from
Super Carrot, and we've got a shredder, so we've got a few landscape gardeners and local people that bring in prunings from the garden which we shred and add into the compost as well. We also collect grass clippings. There's a grass cutting firm that bring vast quantities of grass cuttings here for us to compost, and then we combine it in with material that we collect ourselves. This has been in here for a week. This box is insulated, and that helps to get a really high temperature. There's a lot of grass clippings on the top here, and there's quite a lot of vegetable matter underneath. You can see that the rotting process is well underway, and there's quite a good heat there. It's really warm. What we tend to do is, when we turn it, we move it from one box to another. This is a bit further on in the process. And it's partially rotted, but you can still see quite clearly the brewer's grains in particular and bits of straw, so it's not fully rotted. It needs a bit longer. But it's doing well. We get a lot of brandling worms which carry on the work and break it down into a really airy, nice compost.
These are good. These are kept in at night, so we use all their manure, all animal manures used in composting. But pigs produce a lot of waste, and they get fed a lot of waste. We feed them a lot of, when they're clearing weeds. Before ones that we can feed to animals go to all animals, so it's passed through them, and then they crap it out, and then it goes into what we do then is the stuff that's not totally sopping wet goes into chickens. Chickens pick through it. Then they waste it out, and then we use, that goes onto compost as well. So it's all, that comes through chickens is really good stuff. It's because it's been used twice, if you like. It's gone through 2 processes. So it's a chain. It all goes through. And same with goats, sheep, all animals that we've got. All manure goes through 2 processes, and then back onto mucky. So it's. Be stuck with that, these. We put all our tea bags in here, and we have quite a lot. It's built a bit like a thermos flask, this. It's insulated. Because it's in a sunny space, it heats up quite well, which aids the rotting process. And what happens is that it rots down in the bottom, and any moisture just goes through the basket because there's holes in it into the soil. And about once a year we empty out any solid matter that's in the bottom, which is very little usually. And because there's holes underneath, worms and other organisms in the soil can get in and do the rotting and breaking down. The compost used to grow these tomatoes is all compost that we've made ourselves. It's a mixture of poultry manure and recycled green material. And as you can see, they're quite healthy and they're doing well. And we also feed them on a regular basis with a liquid feed, which we make in a tank of water with a sack of manure and a sack of nettles and a sack of comfrey. We leave it in the water and it makes a lovely smelly liquid feed. And we feed the tomatoes about once a fortnight with that. It helps to keep them healthy, we get a good crop,
and it helps them to fight off diseases, which means that we don't need to use pesticides and insecticides as well. We're going to put small bins so that people can bring used flower pots and we can then use them, and kitchen waste as well.
Kitchen waste, yeah. How do you get much of that?
Well, if you'd like a people bring their kitchen waste in, yeah, and we've got areas, bins that they know that they can put it in, and then we just incorporate it into our own.
Well, first of all, we get the goods in from the general public. They're sorted in the back by several of the volunteers on a rota system, and we decide what is good merchandise and what isn't. It's filtered into the shop, and all the money that is earned from those goods goes directly to Sheffield children, and we're proud of that, because over the years we've helped literally thousands of children in Sheffield. And if at any time the social workers are in need of anything for a child, that's top priority. Those clothes or anything that they need are sorted straight off. Okay. Society is so poor at the moment with the recession on, and we're getting so many one-parent families and families that need to be able to buy children's clothing at a reasonable price. It's particularly upsetting to us round about Christmas because we sell a colossal amount of toys, and when you see some of the people and the circumstances they're in, and they're having to buy toys like this for their children at Christmas, then that can be quite upsetting.
It's really cute.
And we literally recycle everything, from coat hangers to the end product, which are the clothes, books, bric-a-brac, scarves, shoes, you name it, we'll recycle it. If there is anything that obviously we can't use in the shop, then we recycle it again through our own efforts in jumble sales, or eventually to the rag merchants, who in turn recycle again. So it's just one constant round all the time.
We collect furniture from people who don't need it anymore, store it here, and then people come here and choose their furniture. On a good day, if we've got everything that they can need, they can get a whole house full of furniture. The kind of people who use it, perhaps children leaving care who haven't got a community care grant and so they haven't got anything, or people who've left because of violence. Like say if a woman's fleeing violence, she's not going to think to pack her bags and take her dressing tables and bedding with her. Or they've just been homeless and had to leave their stuff behind because they've been living in temporary accommodation for a long time and they've just had to leave it behind. So it's all sorts of people. We've just had an appeal, so we've got lots of beds at the moment, but usually that's what we need most. Because obviously they might only need a couple of chests of drawers, but if you've got kids, all of them need a bed each.
And now over to community.
And in the back we keep all the kitchen and cleaning utensils, and they're really good because it means people can move into their home and they've got something to clean it with and pots to start cooking with, because all that's really expensive, and they're all kept in the back. And then we've got spare sort of bedding up here, because again, sheets and duvets and everything and pillows are very expensive. And there's no charge for the furniture itself, but we do charge £12 to cover the costs of collecting the furniture and delivering it, because we're not funded, so we have to charge something, unfortunately. That's how it works.
Passing them on to the people who need them. If you're interested, call us on Sheffield 766 744. Now, today on the helpline, we're making one of our regular appeals on behalf of St Vincent de Paul. A local organisation which collects unwanted household items and delivers them to people in need, such as families on a low income who have a reference from the social services. Now what they're desperately short of at the moment is any household furniture, except for wardrobes, easy chairs and sideboards. Now thanks to your help in the past they've got a good supply of these, but if you have any other furniture which you'd like taken off your hands to go and help others in our area, please give us a call on Sheffield 766 744. Cottage Workshop is an organisation which aims to supply various baby items offered by the public to mums on a low income. Now, over the past 2.5 years, they've received nearly 900 individual requests for help, of which 650 large items and over 100 smaller ones, including clothing and bedding, have been supplied. Now, at the present time, we have a waiting list for over 300 items, a list which grows daily, and it's only with your help that they can meet the demand, particularly for cots and mattresses, fire guards, safety gates, buggies and pushchairs, and other items such as high chairs, carry cots, playpens, double buggies and baby walkers. If you can help in any way at all, please give us a ring on Sheffield 766 744, which is also the number to call if you have any appeals you'd like us to pick on. I'm off to up answer your calls now, but I'll be back after 12 to let you know how we got on.
Thanks ever so much, Jackie. And why don't you give Jackie a call now?
Now what happens is all the donated items come into our workshop, they're brought in, and bit by bit we check them out for safety, we check them out for if bits are missing, that they work properly. Once they've all been checked out, painted, renovated, they're then put ready on one side to be redistributed back into Sheffield. The people who they go to are people who are the clients of health visitors, social workers, probation officers, and also people who contact other voluntary organisations in Sheffield. Now, we've actually worked out that over the 2 years since we've been working, if we'd had to buy all this equipment retail, then it would have cost us round about £45,000. And we actually give this away free in Sheffield to people who just couldn't afford to buy any of this equipment at all if they had to go retail. It was just beyond their limits. And there are babies in Sheffield who, when they come out of hospital, they actually have to sleep in cardboard boxes or drawers that are made into cots, because A, we can't supply the cots because supply far out doesn't meet demand, and people can't afford anything else. So as a temporary measure, the baby's in a box or in a drawer, or sometimes in an armchair, and we have had the cases where the baby's been allocated a small square on the floor in a corner, and that's its bedroom, and the rest of the family walk round it. Now, it's not an ideal situation at all, so if we can supply cots or anything in that for those situations, so we try and do it, but we do have a long waiting list for everything, particularly for safety equipment. Then we just test the drop sides, which sometimes are quite a bit stiff and heavy. Yeah, well, that will be too stiff to send out, that drop side. So what we shall do is put some of those lubricants on and in the holes. There's dirt in the holes which is stopping it sliding, so we shall take the sides off again and clean the holes and just try. If it's too heavy, what will happen is a child and cot will go over. But it's a good cot and it's got good fixtures, good fitting, so it will be okay. We don't let prams and pushchairs out where the brakes don't work on our slope test. I mean, we do the best we can on that, but if there's any doubt, then they don't go out.
This composting of leaf mould by the Red Crescent Club is done now with some cutbacks.
Everybody got one?
If you just pass through inner city Sheffield, it might seem as if there's not much recycling activity. There is, but there's still room for lots more people to get involved. All these groups really need your support, so if you want to know more about projects like these, or any help with recycling, just contact us at Scrap.